In the distant future, three astronauts make a huge discovery that could change everything when they return to Earth. Greg, who leads the mission, is amazed when they discover water on Pandora, one of Saturn's moons. Sophie and Kyle agree that the next step is to collect a sample and return to Earth. Next, Kyle steps into the water first and shouts that it is freezing. He puts both legs in and starts testing the water using an AI-supported tool. The tool reads out the normal properties of the water, including its pH value. While this happens, Sophie also steps into the water beside Kyle. Greg, standing with his back to the water, hears Kyle say that he has found something strange. Greg asks Kyle what seems odd, but Kyle does not respond. Then Greg turns to check on Kyle, but Kyle is gone. Confused, Greg asks Sophie if she saw what happened. Sophie, standing nearby, says that Kyle was just beside her, and she has no idea where he is now. Greg tells Sophie to get out of the water immediately, but Sophie is suddenly dragged into the water. Greg rushes to help her, but she disappears beneath the surface. Suddenly, a huge mass of water rises and tries to pull Greg in. Realizing he can't save his teammates, Greg rushes back to the spaceship with the water closing in behind him. Later, Greg somehow makes it back to the spaceship and immediately sends a distress signal to Earth, providing their location and asking for help. As he sends the message, the ship starts shaking violently, making it hard for him to focus. Despite the chaos, the message gets delivered to Earth, but Greg's fate remains unknown. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Admiral Doreen calls a meeting with Jennifer and Cliff, a married couple, along with Colonel William, who knows about the situation. Doreen thanks them for gathering on short notice, but says there is no time for compliments. She tells them about the distress call from the spaceship on Pandora and says that they have lost contact with the team ever since Greg sent the signal for help. Doreen reveals that they are going on a rescue mission to Pandora. The team has been missing since Greg's signal. Next, Doreen explains that William will oversee the rescue unit from Earth at the Space Force Command. Jennifer and Cliff will provide emergency medical support if needed. The team will be escorted by a commander named Hank, who will pilot the spacecraft towing the medical rescue craft. Jennifer hesitates because Hank was once detained for shooting down a Chinese military craft. However, William assures her that Hank has skills that few other pilots possess. Jennifer and Cliff focus on the situation and ask how they are going to rescue the team since the journey to Pandora normally takes months. Doreen and Colonel William explain that they will travel through a system called a wormhole, which will reduce the travel time from months to just a few minutes. However, the wormhole will only stay open for 10 hours before it shuts down. After that, it will remain closed for 6 months, leaving them with just a 10-hour window to complete the rescue. After finding out that Greg was leading the Pandora mission, Jennifer feels frustrated when she hears his name in front of her husband, Cliff. She realizes that Greg is the same co-worker she once dated. Doreen asks her if this will be a problem, and Jennifer says no with an uncomfortable smile. Doreen asks again to be sure, and Cliff becomes curious when he hears Greg's name. Jennifer tells Cliff that what happened is in the past, and then she asks Doreen how she knows all this. Doreen avoids the question and tells her that Greg's primary mission was to find a water supply on Pandora. She warns that they could face deadly bacteria and unknown organisms. After learning this, Jennifer insists that she must go to Pandora because it has already been hours since the infection. William agrees and suggests that both Jennifer and Cliff should travel to make the necessary assessments in time. The couple agrees. After being briefed, Jennifer and Cliff prepare for the mission. Next, they board the spaceship with a military team led by Colonel William and the pilot, Hank. The commander warns them that the journey will get rough as they approach the wormhole and tells everyone to stay alert. Then they enter the wormhole, and just as Hank predicted, the pressure inside the ship increases rapidly due to the external forces. Suddenly, the ship's system sends a warning that some of its parts have been damaged by the pressure. Cliff immediately gets out of his seat and starts making quick adjustments, knowing that their lives are at risk if the pressure continues to rise. The team helps him, and together they manage to stabilize the pressure just before things spiral out of control. Afterward, the commander, who had been arguing with Cliff earlier, is impressed by Cliff's quick thinking and compliments him to Jennifer. Once the ship exits the wormhole and reaches Pandora, the whole team is mesmerized by the beauty of the moon. Cliff explains how it was discovered, But soon, Cliff and Colonel William begin arguing about how to land the ship. Cliff insists that the surface of Pandora is unstable based on his previous research, but William shuts him down, saying that it is his responsibility to handle the landing. As William predicted, he safely lands the team near the coordinates where Greg's ship sent the distress signal. The team gets off the ship after Jennifer and William confirm that the ship is stable enough to take them back to Earth, even in its damaged condition. Once they get out of the ship in their full spacesuits, they begin searching for the missing ship, Cassini. As they explore, Hank explains how the sun's light affects Pandora, causing it to switch from dark to light within minutes. As they get closer, one of the team members shouts for everyone to look. Jennifer comments that the Cassini looks strange, almost as if it has been underwater for years. Another crew member says that is impossible since there is no water nearby. But just as they say this, they spot a large body of water close to them, making the place look like they are on Earth. As they try to figure out what is happening, the water molecules suddenly bind together and form a tall, rod-like structure in front of them, as if it is alive. The armed military squad immediately opens fire on the water creature using advanced weapons, but the creature remains unaffected by the attack. Suddenly, the Cassini's engine switches on and starts running. Back at the main ship, Commander Hank notices another ship approaching and becomes alarmed. He immediately asks his AI assistant to scan the ship. The AI responds that it detects no body temperature inside and concludes that the ship is likely empty or unable to hold life. Hearing this, Commander Hank orders the AI to destroy the ship. The AI follows the order and instantly destroys the ship with a powerful shot. Meanwhile, Jennifer discovers human bodies near the water. She shouts to the others about her discovery and runs over to check the corpses. She realizes that the bodies are Sophie and Kyle, their fellow astronauts. Just as they are convinced that Sophie and Kyle are dead, Sophie suddenly gasps for air, and Kyle starts breathing. At that moment, they notice someone approaching with his hands raised in surrender. He tells Jennifer to remember him. After a moment of confusion, Jennifer realizes that it is Greg. She asks Greg what happened to them. Greg tells her that he has no memory of what happened. Jennifer starts dragging Kyle and Sophie back to the ship to treat them. William confronts her and tells her that bringing them aboard could contaminate the ship. Jennifer, as the medical team leader, argues that it is her decision and insists on diagnosing and treating them on the ship. After a tense argument, William eventually agrees and allows Jennifer to take them back. Jennifer thanks him and leads the way to the ship. Meanwhile, the commander receives a call from Earth. Doreen sounds agitated and demands to know why he destroyed a ship that was worth a fortune. She tells him that he needs to give a convincing explanation for his actions. She then asks for an update on the situation. After hearing everything, she orders him not to allow anyone to board his ship unless he is completely sure they are free from contamination. She warns him that the government will nuke his ship if they discover it is compromised, then hangs up. Next, Jennifer and Cliff help the injured Cassini crew to their ship. The crew claims they don't know what happened to them. Meanwhile, the military team remains near the water, trying to study whatever attacked them earlier. Suddenly, they are attacked again, and one of the soldiers is pulled into the water. The team fires at the water, not knowing exactly what they are facing. Sadly, the water spits the man out into the air, and he falls to his death. Realizing they can't win this fight, they decide to abandon the area. Next, Cliff and Jennifer place Kyle on a warming table with an oxygen pack attached and begin examining the others. They soon notice strange interference coming through the oxygen packs, disrupting the system. Suddenly, Greg starts to remove his mask despite Jennifer's warning. Sophie follows his lead, saying she doesn't want to wait for the unknown contaminant to enter her body. With no other choice, Jennifer removes her mask as well and orders everyone to put their masks and clothes in the laundry for decontamination. Jennifer then asks Sophie and Greg how they are feeling. They respond that they are okay but freezing. Jennifer tells Cliff to make them some warm tea and heads to the control room to speak with the commander. The commander tells her that they cannot return until she provides a full health report confirming that everyone is healthy. Jennifer agrees and heads back to the room. When she returns, she notices that Kyle is sweating. She realizes that Cliff has increased the temperature of the warming table. Jennifer scolds Cliff for doing that. Suddenly, Kyle sits up, vomits water, and collapses to the ground. Jennifer immediately says that the temperature has nothing to do with his condition and orders Greg and Sophie to go into quarantine. Sophie, however, refuses to believe that she is infected. She becomes agitated and grabs a gun from a nearby table, pointing it at them and demanding to be left alone. Just then, the military squad returns from their failed mission to destroy the unknown creature. When they enter the room and see Sophie with the gun, they immediately raise their weapons and order her to put it down. Sophie suddenly says that she feels unwell and vomits directly in front of William. William immediately starts showing signs of contamination. Jennifer and the others quickly manage to quarantine him and a woman next to him. Greg insists that he is not infected since he was never in the water like the others, and the team decides to leave him be. Jennifer concludes that the chlorine saline she gave to Kyle earlier caused the change. After some time, Jennifer reports to Hank that there might be a parasitic element in the water on Pandora. Hank tells her that the wormhole will close in 2 hours and that she must find a cure before then. With the new objective, the team goes back to work. Jennifer realizes that this might be their only way to kill and decontaminate the infection. Just then, the water creature studies the ship and starts to duplicate itself in the ship's form. Suddenly, it attacks Hank's ship, but Hank destroys all of the creature's duplicates. To make things worse, Pandora develops huge tentacles out of water. Hank warns the team on Pandora to find a solution fast, or he will close the wormhole. Next, the water creature starts shaking the ship, trying to break in. Jennifer quickly thinks of a solution, saying that science, not military force, is the key to stopping it. She tells the team that oil repels water and orders them to cover the ship's surface with engine oil. They follow her instructions, and just as she predicted, the water creature stops attacking. Next, Jennifer begins working on decontaminating the infected crew using salt to change the pH levels of their bodies so that the parasites won't survive. To test her theory, she takes the IV fluids herself. Suddenly, Jennifer starts feeling weak and collapses. Greg steps forward and reveals that he switched the IV fluids with the infectious water. He tells them that Jennifer has now become one of them. At that moment, 2 soldiers who had gone outside to coat the ship with oil return. They subdue Greg and lock him up along with William. Cliff then gives Jennifer and the other infected crew members an injection as a last resort. Fortunately, it works exactly as Jennifer had predicted, and everyone returns to normal. Within minutes, they all prepare to leave and head toward the commander before he takes off. Just as they are about to leave, the water creature overwhelms the whole of Pandora and attacks them. Jennifer quickly tells the crew to shut down the engine for a moment and restart it after dumping a saline mixture into it. They follow her plan and it works, but a small part of the creature makes it onto the ship. The government then launches a nuke toward them to prevent the creature from reaching Earth. The team fights with the creature, and during the struggle, it pulls one of the crew members into the engine. Finally, they defeat the creature after realizing that nitrogen gas can cool off water. They release it into the ship, and the AI system confirms that the ship is now free from any remaining creatures. The team exits the wormhole and reaches Earth. They land on water. Greg, looking worried, asks if there is a chance that the parasite might recover since they are surrounded by water. Jennifer and Cliff reassure him that they landed in the Jordanian Sea, the saltiest sea in the world, which will prevent the parasite from surviving. The end. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.